Hey everybody, my name is Corey Peterson, and this is the first edition of my market recap. Today's January 14th, 2019. The reason I thought I would do this is because I just want to put some information out there about the markets, mostly about small to medium cap stocks. And there's a lot of movers every day to the positive side and to the negative side. And, channels like CNBC, MSNBC, they don't talk about these companies. They like to talk about Apple all day, um, the $500 billion companies. There's a lot of companies out there that you can make large profits off of. These stocks tend to move anywhere from 2% to sometimes biotech stocks on news are moving up to 100% in one trading session. If you can track these stocks and find out when um, possible catalysts are coming up, that's one area where you can definitely make some money for yourself. And even if you're not going to put money in the game, it's just to me, I'm fascinated with it, even if I don't have a single dollar in the markets. That's difficult for me to do. I always seem to have something in the markets. But even when I don't, I'm absolutely fascinated by the markets and these stocks and how much they move day in and day out. The reason that they're moving. I have what I use here is I have an iPad or a Samsung tablet, and I downloaded an app called Stock Spy, and I follow about 300 different companies, and I'll scroll through them. We're going to go over a few different stocks today. When I woke up this morning, even in the pre-markets, I did a little search, and it didn't take long for some big news to pop up. There's always something every day. For today, it was Newmont Mining Company bought Goldcorp. These are two companies that I've been following for quite a while. I hadn't pulled the trigger on Goldcorp. As soon as it got under $10, um, I almost did, and I didn't. And it wouldn't have made a big difference. It dropped down to about $8, something like that. And then with the buyout, it popped, a little over $10. So but it was up about 7% today on the news of the buyout. And Newmont Mining, who bought Goldcorp, was actually down 9%. So what that tells me is Newmont Mining might have overpaid a little bit for Goldcorp. Gold prices, they're a little under $1,300 an ounce right now. Gold is one of those. Gold is pretty interesting. There's a lot of different opinions on gold, where the price of gold is going. For me, it's really interesting when you look at the national debt. And it's hard to place a value on gold. I mean, you can't really argue either way what the price of gold is, because gold has no earnings. You can't really it's hard to put a price tag on gold. So gold, in the future is probably going to move much higher, but in the near term, it's possible gold could go back under $1,000. And if you're in these gold mining companies, which are leveraged to the price of gold, you could lose a lot of money in the short term, even if gold, does recover in the long term. But, to put a small position away in gold, gold mining stocks would not be a bad idea for the long term. Some stocks that were up today, the market was down in general. Dow was down about 64 points. NASDAQ was down about 45. But there is some interesting stock I've started following with the marijuana industry is New Age Beverages, ticker symbol NBEV. I started following it back when it was about $6, dipped under $6, and then today it was up 14%, finished up over $7 today. Not really much news coming out today, but this is an extremely volatile stock. It can move 14% actually. It's pretty typical for a company this small in the marijuana industry to move that much in one day. It could be down 20% tomorrow, and these momentum stocks are pretty difficult to follow. You can make a lot of money, but you can also lose a lot of money as well. That one, I thought about investing in that company because they do have some interesting drinks. I've seen those Bob Marley drinks in gas stations. And when I started following the company, I started reading articles and found out that they actually own that company. With they distribute the Bob Marley. Their teas, I think, is what they are. I'm not a big tea fan, but their plan is to infuse these drinks with CBD in the future. It's not actual THC. So until that market comes around, where you can actually get high off these drinks in the gas stations. I would say this is a pretty risky investment, even at $7. It could double. It could get bought out by Coca-Cola, someone like that. You never know. But it could also tank at any time. I read a couple articles citing that the CEO of this company has run quite a few companies into the ground before becoming the CEO of New Age Beverages. So that really was a big red flag for me. A lot of times when you come across things when you're investigating companies and you find something that is a little fishy or you think is not quite right, a lot of times you're correct. And it's maybe a good idea to stay away from those stocks if you think that something just doesn't seem right. Natural gas. I'm not a huge follower of natural gas other than I look at the price of it, but these moves in natural gas are just unbelievable. Natural gas, the fund, the UNG, the ticker symbol, is up 11% today. I mean, it's been moving like that all the time. It almost doesn't even seem right. I don't know how a commodity like that can move 10 to 11% day after day after day. So that is a huge mover. Again, Goldcorp was up 7% today. Another fascinating company that I just came across was NIO, ticker symbol NIO. They are considered to be the Tesla of China. If you go to NIO's website, you'll see some videos of NIO's cars. They're actually pretty fascinating. They are setting these cars up to be totally driverless. It's like a living space. You sit back, relax. There's TV screens that come down, and the car just drives itself. China is building these cities to accommodate driverless cars, cities of the future. And NIO is going to be a huge player in that. The thing with NIO, they have cool cars, yes, but the company is losing a lot of money. And that's the problem. That's probably why the stock it was up 6% today. It's at $6.99. And if you look at them, once this trade war is over, NIO could be one of those companies that absolutely comes out of this a huge winner. It could also be a huge loser if you look at the balance sheet. So that's going to hamper their growth in the future. Kind of very similar to Tesla, very, very similar, much smaller company. Tesla is about a $55 billion company. NIO is $7 billion. So pretty risky stock there, but something to definitely follow. If you want to put some money in that, it's very tempting for me right now to put some money in NIO. What's the amount of money in there that you can afford to lose? I wouldn't put a whole lot of money in there right now. just because of so many risks surrounding that stock. Some news today, Citigroup beat estimates. Their stock was up 4.5% today. That stock has absolutely taken off ever since 2007, 2008. I remember looking at that stock and I think it was in the single digits, and now it's almost $60. Pretty unbelievable there if you could have got into that. Let's see. Another one that wasn't up huge today, but I've been following pretty closely just because it's fallen so much is ticker symbol UNFI, United Natural Foods. This is a food distributor nationwide. It's actually, I believe they're even a worldwide company. Their stock was around $50 here not too long ago, and they completed an acquisition of the Super Value company, and now the stock, it was under $10 here recently, and it's come up. It's over 13 now. That's one of, if there's one more dip in that stock, that's one you might want to pick up. The company they bought Super Value for, I believe it was about $2 billion. And I think the company now, the entire company is only valued at $700 million. The reasoning for that, again, is probably the debt. They took on debt to finance this company. So, you always want to look, anytime you're going to invest in a company, you always want to take a look. Very important. I wouldn't invest in any company before taking, no matter how cool their products are. You always want to take a look at the balance sheet to see how much debt they have. Some of these companies are just pumping up their stock price by just, marketing campaigns, and some of these companies don't even have any revenue. United Natural Foods happens to have a lot of revenue, but all that revenue goes to paying off their debt, so it makes it very difficult to to have money to pay to shareholders and for the stock price to appreciate. Oh, what else do we have here? There wasn't a lot of big movers today. Newmont Mining down 9% was the biggest loser of the stocks that I follow. Usually there's something over 10% every day. So today was actually a pretty calm day, and the markets were pretty calm. None of the major indexes were up or down, more than 1%. So, and then the big, there were some nice two movers over 10%. Then you put Goldcorp, and NIO was up pretty good. So you've got, there's some oil stocks up, gold stocks up, marijuana stocks, Tilray is almost $100 now. That's another one that's pretty interesting, but it's fun to watch that industry evolve. It goes from being, absolutely obscure to all of a sudden you have this, company that's worth $10 billion. It just amazes me how fast things can happen. And that's what amazes me so much about the markets, is that things are just changing so quickly. And there's so many things going on day to day that it's just the story. I could sit there and read stories all day just because there's so much going on in the markets every single day. If you follow enough companies, there's always something. Companies are being acquired. Biotech is an industry that I'm extremely interested in because there's always acquisitions going on. The big companies are always buying up the smaller companies. The movements in those smaller biotechs are absolutely amazing. You have companies that, if they're past, say, a phase 3, FDA trial, I mean, the stock can double overnight. You can wake up one morning and your stock's up 100%. But in the same token, if that trial doesn't pass, I've seen stocks be down 90% in one day because that's the only drug they have. And well, if you find out that it doesn't work, that's pretty much it for you. So it's pretty fascinating how much money flows in and out of all these smaller companies. This was my first time doing this here, so I know it was probably a little rough around the edges. I'll get better at this, but I know there's a lot of people out there like me who just can't get a lot of information on these smaller companies. I'm companies that I want to invest in. I'm Googling them all the time, and you can hardly find anything on them. These chat rooms that you find are just, I mean, they're just junk. They absolutely are. It's just a bunch of people just arguing back and forth. None of them know what they're talking about. They're just basically threatening each other. You don't know what their motivations are. Um, so I thought this would be a good source for, just to get some information, and hopefully this can get to a point where, I've got some people watching, and we can comment, and share ideas back and forth. And I'm always open to learning about different companies as well. I'm always trying to find, the next Tesla. I missed that boat already. I was following Tesla when it was $25. Had I known what it was going to be at the time, obviously I would have bought as much as I possibly could. But there's always something, there's always a bull market somewhere. There's always companies out there that are going to just grow massively, especially with this artificial intelligence coming here in the near term. There's going to be companies all over the place that are just, that you can make a lot of money off of if you can. It's just a matter of finding them, really. A lot of these companies, you go back and it's like too late. I can't get myself to invest in a company that's up 500% in the last 18 months. I just can't do it. I feel like you've already missed the boat as far as that goes. So, if we can trade ideas back and forth, and maybe we can find that company. I've got a couple that I'm following now that, I'll share down the road if they're, I like to just talk about the big movers of the day. And I'm sure ones that I think are cheap right now, I'm sure they'll pop up one way or another, up really big one day or down really big. So, and then hopefully I can help you guys make some money and get into a company that's maybe the next Tesla or the next Google or the next Facebook. That would, I mean, helping somebody find a company like that would absolutely, it would, let's put it this way, it would make this all worthwhile. I plan on doing this every day once the market closes. There's only so much I can do as far as money goes. Got money tied up, and if I saw there's a company that I'm not invested in, but I think is undervalued, hey, why wouldn't I want to share that information and maybe help somebody else make some money? So that's my goal here. This is not investing advice, but it's just to throw ideas out there and say, hey, this, keep an eye on this company. They're doing these things. Put it on your watch list, and then do your own research. Make your own decisions. So I hope this was an okay first round. If anybody watches this, I plan to do this again tomorrow and every day after the market closes. I'm here in Fargo, North Dakota. So the market closes here at 3 o'clock every day. So I plan on doing this depending on what's going on during the day. For, my goal was a half hour. It's only about 20 minutes today, but there wasn't a whole lot going on in the market today. So there's not as much to talk about. But all right, everybody, if you're watching this, I really appreciate it. If you could subscribe, that would be great. And I will see you next time.